If you think about it, the concept of the New Year's resolution is kinda silly. There isn't anything particularly significant about the Earth making one complete rotation around the sun. It's just humans that give it meaning. I usually think it's silly to wait until the end of the year to make a positive change in your life, considering that you can always make a positive change right now, today, any time of the year. That said, at the start of 2018, I made a New Year's resolution that changed my life. I got inspired by an Inferno Omni New Year's video, where he decided to delete his Fire Emblem Heroes account, despite putting a decent amount of time and money into the game. At the time, I was a massive Fire Emblem Heroes player. It was my most popular stream game, and it was a big daily ritual for me to keep playing. But after thinking long and hard about it, I decided to destroy my account as well. There are two major reasons I did this. The first one is straight up cost. Fire Emblem Heroes is actually a pretty dang fun, free-to-play, light tactical game, but one of the most fun things to do in the game is collecting all your favorite Fire Emblem characters by summoning them. By gathering free orbs, you can summon a handful of characters on your own, but if you really want to collect them all, you gotta open your wallet to Anna and pay up to get some more orbs. And what do you get for spending your hard-earned cash? JPEGs. Incredibly sexy JPEGs, but they are JPEGs nonetheless. I spent a lot of money on Fire Emblem Heroes, and a lot of it was work-related. I would run these incentives where while I was streaming, I'd purchase orbs and summon characters if we hit a certain amount of people subscribed or a certain amount of tips on my Twitch channel. It was fun, and that's the problem. It was really fun. There's a real dopamine rush from getting that one rare thing you've been looking for. It's why loot boxes are successful. It's why old school trading card game packs are so successful. Gambling is fun and addicting. So here's my sheet of shame. After watching Omni's video, I decided to go through my receipts and tally up every single purchase I made on Fire Emblem Heroes. I lined up every single transaction starting with the game's launch in early 2017. My grand total? Almost $2,000. I couldn't believe it. That's enough for a decent PC, or over 30 brand new $60 games, or just decent money towards bills or your mortgage. And my biggest fear of all is that people watching me have so much fun on stream spending my money and summoning characters inspired them to do the same and spend irresponsibly. But there's something in this style of game that's more dangerous to me than monetary cost, and that is opportunity cost. Time. Fire Emblem Heroes loads you with tons of fun activities to do. Battles, leveling, collecting, merging, weapons, events. There's just this constant upkeep to keep your team with the best score, or grabbing all your free orbs, or playing through the story, or whatever. Especially after I made the decision to play free-to-play and stop spending money on the game in August of 2017, I was still playing the game a good 2+ hours every single day. Most of it just doing in-game chores. Games like these are easy to play while you're doing another passive activity, like watching the TV or even using the bathroom. But I definitely played hundreds of hours of this game every month during times when I could be doing anything else more productive. If I have to sum it up, I'm gonna take some words from South Park. Randy says this in Season 6, Episode 16, when he's talking to the kids about the danger of smoking pot. Fire Emblem Heroes makes you feel fine with being bored. And it's when you're bored that you should be learning some new skill or discovering new science or being creative. There's a huge problem that comes from trying to stop a game like this, even if you want to, and it's called the sunk cost fallacy. In short, it's a problem where we add emotional value to things that we've already put investment into. Maybe you keep eating food at a restaurant even though you're stuffed because you feel like you gotta eat it all, you already paid for it. Or maybe you stay in a relationship that you aren't happy with because you've already spent so much time in it. Or maybe you keep playing and spending on a mobile game because you're embarrassed that leaving it would be a waste of all that money and time you put into it. Now, I'm not your dad. I'm not here to shame you if you have a similar gaming experience to me in 2017 with Fire Emblem Heroes. If you like the game, that's totally cool. It's a fun game. It does mobile tactics perfectly, the voice acting and visuals are adorable. But if you're like me and find joy in life when you learn new skills, try new things, and spend time on self-improvement, I encourage you to give this a shot. I spent the entire year of 2018 completely clean from microtransaction gaming. No Fire Emblem Heroes, no Pokemon Duel, no Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, and good lord did they tempt me with that new Dragalia Lost game, but nah. The only game in this category I did keep was Pokemon Go, which I only play occasionally when doing something positive and active like going out for a walk. And speaking of positive, I promise I'm going somewhere good with this video. I want to talk about all the great new things I was able to explore this year. Things that I probably wouldn't have had enough time or money for if I continued to spend time and money on Heroes. A big thing I tried this year was coding. I've always had a huge passion for gaming, and I've been inspired by a lot of my friends who are game developers into learning what it takes to become an indie developer myself. With online resources such as Code Academy and Udemy, I started picking up some of the basics. First it was Python, which helped me understand the Python-based visual novel creator, Ren'Py. Learning a basic language like Python also really helped me grasp the program-specific language that Game Maker Studio uses, which is another popular indie gaming tool. I then moved up to C-based computer languages, which are popular in game creation tools like Unity. Like I mentioned in the A button pressing video that we did, that Arduino code was all basically C-based as well. I'm still learning, and I have a lot to learn, and that excites me. I've been out of school for over 6 years now, and I think it's pretty easy to stop pushing yourself to learn new stuff once you're working a stable job. But actually taking the time to force myself to explore something new and overcome new obstacles has been one of the greatest joys of 2018 for me. Game development is a massive beast, even for a tiny indie game, but I do hope to continue to learn and someday have a project of my own to share with you guys. Another massive thing that all that extra time was good for? Doggo number 2. Meet Chewie. He's a Great Pyrenees Retriever mix, and he is the greatest dang dog in the whole wide world. Well, just as great as our OG dog, Zoe. When Renee and I moved in together about 5 years ago, Zoe was a part of the package. I never owned a dog growing up, but learning to take care and play with Zoe instantly transformed me into a dog lover. In 2018, I finally decided to adopt a new dog. After looking for some retrievers at adoption websites, because it's a breed I'm familiar with, I found a local Northwest group called the Great Pyrenees Rescue Society. They foster abandoned peers from the Texas area and help them find homes in both Texas and the Northwest. But this little guy, Chewie, caught my eye because he looked so unique and adorable. He was surrendered when he was about 1 year old in Texas because his family wasn't prepared to take care of a bigger and more active dog. GPRS picked him up and shuttled him to the Seattle area where he was taken care of by a foster parent. It was around this time that I reached out about Chewie, but unfortunately, they told me that a new family had already selected him for adoption, so Chewie is now in his home number 3. We figured that someday there would be another dog that'd be good for adopting into our family, but just 2 weeks later I got an email. Chewie's new family is already returning him. He was just too crazy for their family and they didn't want him anymore. So they asked Renee and I, would we like to give him a shot? We said yes, and became this boyo's 4th and final home. And he was definitely crazy, very high energy. Pretty destructive too. He destroyed objects around the house because he had no knowledge of what toys were his and what was off limits. And he also suffered from terrible anxiety whenever crated, destroying everything still in his crate when we decided to leave the home to watch a movie or whatever. But with time, love, and care, Chewie is the best dog ever. Oh my god, he's so sweet. He loves to hang out with people, he loves to hang out with dogs, he loves to cuddle up with Zoe, he loves to swim, and he makes the goofiest faces. He's eager to please, and he was super trainable. He learned commands at a dog school, quickly learned what he's allowed to play with and what he isn't, and now we can leave the home for hours without needing to crate him or worrying that he'll tear the place apart. I know I'm being that typical dog owner where I won't shut up about how much I love my own dog, but it is so good to be able to have 2 dogs to love and care for. Especially knowing Chewie's life story, it just feels so good to give this good dog a home and a life system that he deserves. It took a lot of time, but it was worth it. Another big thing that we had time for this year? More video games! But instead of doing the same chores for hours every single day in the same game, I was able to play through a big, rich collection of stories, adventures, puzzles, and simulations that I wouldn't have had time for before. I played through my entire backlog of titles that I hadn't finished yet, and the I Love Video Games video that we did earlier this year was a big recap of that. Video games are my #1 favorite hobby, passion, and career, and it was great to celebrate something that already means so much to me in a much more meaningful way. And don't worry, for those of you guys who are hoping for something a little different today, I do have a special video cooking up next week, wrapping up my favorite games of 2018. Arguably the most important thing I did in 2018 was work on my mental health. Some people still see this as a stigma to talk about a really personal subject, but I've been feeling a lot better about being more open about this kind of stuff, so here goes. I have generalized anxiety disorder and depression. It's the good old 1-2 mind crush. I have problems with irrational fears, difficulty achieving a feeling of self-worth, and sometimes I just feel so disconnected and blah that I don't feel joy doing fun activities. And this isn't like a new thing that suddenly happened. I've been dealing with this through most of my adult life. I did have a therapist and a psychiatrist back in my college days, but once I moved out on my own, I put off getting a new doctor to keep helping me out. But over time, those demons can come back. Even one of the things I was the most passionate about, which is making content about video games, stopped feeling good. I tried changing my life up, working a full-time job, moving across the country, but at the end of the day, the number one thing I needed was to get back on medication and get back to talking to a therapist. It's easy to be lazy, and I put it off for a long time, but in the fall this year, I finally got connected with new doctors to help me out again. There's no magic happy pill, there's no instant fix, but building a set of lifelines that made me feel better physically and mentally did everything for me. Plus, my therapist has this adorable, massive Bernese mountain dogs, and hey guys, have I mentioned that I like dogs yet? Also, huge props to my friends and family, especially my wonderful wife Renee, for supporting me through all this. Having someone that you can freely share your thoughts and concerns with without feeling ashamed is a very important thing to have. And after a lot of work and self-discovery, toward the end of this year, I finally found my passion for making videos and telling stories again. The first 8 months this year, I made 7 videos. And in just half the time, the last 4 months of the year, we made 7 more. Actually 8 if you count the video you're watching right now. At the time of this video, I've got a streak of 5 straight weekly uploads, and it feels good. Depression was also a huge factor in me not being a part of Shofu's 2016 Pokemon Cypher, so I was super happy to be doing well enough to be a part of his new Smash Cypher this year. Definitely check that out if you haven't already, it turned out to be amazing. I'm just excited. I've got a ton of new ideas, I've started outsourcing some work to some great new editors and artists, and it's all working! Oh hey, what do you know? It turns out that if you want views on your channel, you just have to make videos and then people view them. Turns out people even subscribe to your channel when you do that too. They even click the alert bell so they can be reminded once a week to see that juicy new depression-free J-Wits content. That they do, they click that bell to get the alerts. New videos, maybe every week, or I don't know, more often anyway. Where was I? Oh yeah, having extra time to dedicate to my personal health and dedicate to my job was huge this year. Dedicating time to yourself, cutting back on bad habits, and reaching out to others when you need a helping hand is what making your New Year's resolution come true is all about. I felt the best I've felt in the last 5 years. In 2017, I got dunked on by Anna and Fire Emblem, but I'm gonna dunk on 2019. I'm gonna dunk on YouTube, I'm gonna dunk on my anxiety, gonna dunk on depression, I'm gonna dunk on a hoop. Wait, what? No, I'm serious. This isn't just a clever metaphor for success. I am literally going to dunk a basketball in the year of 2019. I don't actually get a lot of time to talk about it on this channel, because it's video games, but basketball is probably my #1 hobby outside of video games and movies. I watch the NBA ridiculously. It is my favorite sport. I like the way that they dribble up and down the court. And I have not dunked in a decade. The last time I dunked a basketball, I was in high school, and then I stopped taking care of myself and I gained a ton of weight in college. The final thing I worked on with that extra 2018 time was getting back into basketball and starting a training program to see if I could get back into high school shape and throw down while my body can still take it. I went at it hard. Sprints, jump squats, practicing dunking a smaller ball to help clear the rim eventually. Then I started working with a kid's ball and we got close, so close. And then this happened. I got in a collision playing some pretty friendly one-on-one, and I broke my elbow trying to break the fall. It was bad. Almost instantly, I lost a ton of range of motion in my dominant arm, and I can't even do a push-up or pull-up without significant pain. I went from playing basketball every single day to not being able to play a minute in the last 4 months. But I'm not ready to give up. I've been in physical therapy, doing all kinds of crazy exercises to build my motion and strength back. And now that I'm slowly getting approved to run again, I'm gonna keep working, I'm gonna keep losing that weight. I'm probably gonna be slow to return to full-on contact and playing basketball against other people, but that can wait. But the personal battle between me and that hoop, it's on. Life works in really mysterious ways. Sometimes you get really lucky. Sometimes something terrible happens. Sometimes things are fun. Sometimes it's monotonous. Sometimes you just wish you were someplace else. Things don't always work the way that you want. But I can tell you one thing that I learned this year. Things can only get better when you give yourself the time to make things better. I don't know what you got planned for 2019, but I hope you're able to roll with the tough times and spend your life finding whatever it is that makes you happy. But I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna dunk on 2019.